I would like to welcome you tonight, and we are going to talk about protein tonight, which is a totally different topic than I don't know that we've ever done one on protein, but protein is such an important product. Dr. Shaklee always said that if you quit taking every product except one, let it be the protein that you remain on. And so I feel very, very strongly about protein, as well as I'm sure most of you do who are on here. But we're going to talk about some of the health challenges today. Why is protein, and why is it amino acids? There's been some soy controversy. I think most people understand that now. Dr. Shaklee to the rescue, and the value of leucine in muscle building. So the myth of a well-balanced diet. We know that our diets have totally changed from what they were 100 years ago. Everybody used to be able to get everything natural and organic. A high percentage of what everybody ate was fresh. That's not the case anymore today. How things have changed are unbelievable. Dinner today is far from natural, unless you have your own garden and you grow your own animals. But we looked at, there's 13 to 15,000 chemicals that are added to our food. They believe that there's 9 to 12 pounds a year per person of chemicals that are ingested. We know, if you just look at some of the things that are on here, it's kind of scary actually, but our job is to educate people, and we're not to judge, it's to educate. But I don't think most people understand all the different chemicals that are in so many of the things that they're eating. If you've been around in Shaklee for a while, you can see that almost everything on here is processed, and then you always end up with the extra chemicals that are in it. But you look at how our health has gone down as our food has changed to this. The choices in America, the choices that are made, you look at what we're teaching our kids, and the food choices are defining our level of wellness. I did grandparents today at my grandson's school, and he was so excited. He said, "Oh, Grandma, you can't wait to have the fries here. They just melt in your mouth." And I said, "I don't think you're having fries," because lunch came with it, and we didn't have fries. We had pulled pork and mashed potatoes and like a real homemade meal. But he was so excited because the fries there are so good. But if you look at the increase in the fast food stuff, 2,000% increase since 1976. Fast foods has become a huge business because of the lifestyle that everybody lives today. Everybody is in the fast lane, and that's why we have so much fast food. Our lifestyle is dictating a lot of what our health is. And if we look at the fast food, how it's equated to the weight issue, and you look at how being overweight can hurt a whole lot more than just our looks. There's so many different things that the obesity affects. Another huge issue today is stress. Huge issue is stress. And here, I find this so interesting. The increased, what stress does, it increases your neuroexcitability, it increases your cardiovascular activity, it affects your heart rate, your stroke volume, your cardiac output, blood pressure, increased metabolic activity, gluconeogenesis, protein metabolism. This is what the ones that I want to talk about, is the protein metabolism and the muscle wasting. But you can see that stress does a lot. And I heard this years and years ago, and you kind of forget how stress really affects your protein intake. What should happen with your protein intake? The effects of sugar and fats on stress and the stress reaction. And the sugars, to me, is almost as big as the stress. You look at, and this is what people live today. Their blood sugars are up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, because they don't have stuff to help maintain their blood sugar levels. And that's why people are burning out so fast. That's why when people start on protein, the first thing they notice is their energy level, because their body isn't doing this up, down, up, down, up, down all day long. It comes up and it slowly, gradually comes down. As you can see here, This is what happens. Your protein helps bring your blood sugar up, but there's not all the peaks and valleys. It's just a gradual go down. And that's why people notice such a difference in their energy level when they start with the protein. Stress is the greatest factor in protein utilization in the body. When you're under stress, the body's demand for protein increases by 6 times. If protein is not readily available, the body will attack the muscles to try and get the amino acids that it needs. And you can talk to anybody that's been very stressed out, and they will admit to that when they're super stressed out, the next day they just kind of hurt all over. And that's because stress is the #1 cause of muscle deterioration and the loss of muscle mass during one's lifetime. So it's huge what stress does to you. And you saw your need for protein increases 6 times. We know that, our health is down so bad. 1 out of 2 people will die of heart disease. 1 out of 3 people will die of cancer. Diabetes is at epidemic levels. So your thought for today is take care of your body. It's the only place that you have to live. That's from Jim Rohn, who's a philosopher in many different directions. But we have 80 to 90 trillion cells in our body. So there's needs that keep those cells healthy. #1, you have to build the cell. And protein is what builds a cell. #2 is you need to feed it. That's where your vitamins and minerals come in. Now, if you just eat the vitamins and minerals, you're feeding 6 cells instead of building new healthy cells. We need protein to build a new healthy cell so we can feed it. And then we do water and fiber and exercise, fasting, cleanses, and then we do the antioxidants to help protect the cell. And we're not going to talk about any of those other areas tonight other than just the protein. Health is gained or lost at the cellular level. That's where your health starts, and that's where your health ends, is at cellular level. But always remember, I remember when I got into Shaklee many, many, many years ago, that I was a hit and misser on the protein. And my sponsor said to me, by taking all those vitamins, you're wasting a lot of them. And I said, but I thought with Shaklee you absorb everything. He said, yes, you do absorb it, but he said, you're not getting the full benefit because you're putting it in 6 cells. He said, you're wasting it. So from then on, I've never missed protein, and I do it more than once a day because I'm one of those stress people. It's very essential. We know because of our hectic lifestyle that it's hard to eat right. Our stress is dramatically increased, and we saw that increases your need for protein, but also for nutrient. Aging increases malabsorption because due to digestive tract changes. It increases toxin exposure, which requires more antioxidant protection. It devitalizes our soil is not like it used to be at all. It's devitalized. What is protein? Protein is amino acids. The word protein means of first importance or primary or in the lead or comes first. Okay? So your body has 80 to 90 trillion cells, and they all need protein. It's essential, as we said, for building muscles, but also skin, hair, and nails, healthy skin, hair, and nails. And I know that Roland used to always say, you know what, if people don't want to take protein, tell them that they want to look good, that they'll have good-looking hair and good-looking skin and good-looking nails. And we used to always be able to tell when you go to conference if people was using protein or not, just by looking at their face. Protein is needed to build good, strong hormones and to balance your hormones. It's full of enzymes, our protein is, and you need enzymes for your body to function, period. And it builds a healthy immune system. It helps build that as well. Protein builds muscle. You have 640 muscles in your body, which is 40% of your weight. Without sufficient protein, those muscles deteriorate and they turn to fat. Protein is a building blocks of every single cell in your body. It's a building blocks of over 100 different hormones. And I don't think that a lot of us understand, you know, when we think of hormones, we usually think of, you know, the female hormones, because that's what you always hear about, or the male, the testosterone, the estrogen, the progesterone. Those are the hormones that we think of. But vitamin D is actually a hormone. And thyroid is a hormone. And your brain has hormones. I mean, there's so many different kinds of hormones. And if they're out of balance, your body doesn't function right. You throw one of your hormones out and it throws a lot of the other ones off. So protein is so important for hormones. Protein is the building blocks for digestive enzymes. Think about how many people you know today that are taking those pills for upset or messed up stomach because they don't have good digestive enzymes. And it's the building block for antibodies. And your bones are 65% protein. So I think you're seeing the importance of protein in our diet. It provides a structure to all living things. Each organism in this world is made up of protein. Next to water, protein makes up the greatest portion of our body's weight. It makes up muscles, ligaments, tendons, organs, glands, nails, and hair. It's essential for the growth of your bones. Enzymes and hormones and genes are comprised of various kinds of proteins. I don't know if you guys have run into it, but there's so many people that are having mega mutated genetics that are coming out. And I think it's because of the lack of good vegetable protein. Where is protein stored in the body? It's in your muscles. Stress pulls protein out of the muscles. Now you have muscle that goes into rebuilding phase. What are you going to give it to rebuild? This is why your need for protein increases so much under stress. Does it only have sugars, carbs, nutrient-poor processed food, and junk? Then the muscle will come back flabby or with very little tone, and it comes back shorter and stockier with little elasticity. And so you've got broken down muscles. And what is the biggest muscle in your body? I don't think we think of that all the time, but your heart is the biggest muscle in your body. What happens if it's not fed? It's just like everything else. It does not work properly. These are all different muscles. I found this interesting that arteries and veins are muscles as well, but if you think about it, how the blood has to pulse through there. Your digestive tract, that's all muscles as well because of how it pulses. Your glands, I didn't know that was muscles either. So I thought this was interesting. So are you sure that your supply of protein is very well stocked? Okay, so your body manufactures 200 billion red blood cells every day. So replacing all the blood in your body every 120 days. Skin is completely replaced once every 1 to 3 months. And it takes 90 days for old bone to be broken down and replaced with new bone. And this is something that there's different thought processes on. How much protein do you need on a daily basis? And I have always said if you weigh 100 pounds, you need 50 grams of protein. If you weigh 200 pounds, you need 100 grams of protein. There's different thought processes here. So 8 grams per pound is a non-athlete. Some people say that you need 0.6, so that's a half pound right there. Grams, yeah, half a gram per pound. Now it's not making sense to me, but you need a half a gram of protein, or just take your weight and divide it by 2 is the easiest way to look at it. If you're a bodybuilder, then you need more. Look at that, 1 gram of protein for every pound. I can't imagine getting that much protein in, right? So our protein demands depend on our age, our size, our activity level, and of course on our stress levels. But for years, we've always said if you weigh 150 pounds, you should have 75 grams of protein a day. And you do not want that to be all animal protein. So what increases the need for protein? Activity, physical activity, either in work or play. Kids that are growing have a need of protein. That is one of the things you so often see children are not getting enough of, is the protein. Stress is increased. Recovering from an injury. Now that's a different kind of stress on your body, but recovering from an injury. If you're pregnant or you're nursing, it is so important. Hypothetical, a day of a 50-year-old office worker. Starbucks and a muffin, a grilled chicken sandwich, some kind of a mid-afternoon snack. Usually there's not protein. I've done so many nutrition consults, and when I find out what people are eating, their protein is so low. A 6-ounce steak is 42 grams. If you do an 8-ounce steak, you can add that up. I think it's up to 60-some grams, right? Half a cup of beans, 7 grams of protein. That gives her 78 grams. So are you short? Depending on which one of these you believe. I think that you are, because, let me see, how do I go backwards here? So the other thing that I want to look at is how much vegetable protein did you get here? 7 grams and 4 grams. So you actually got 11 grams of vegetable protein. The rest of what they got that they're still short on was animal protein. I'm not a vegan. I'm not a vegetarian. I don't think it'd be hard for me to go that way. But I wasn't raised that way, and I know I can't eat regular, and there's a lot of people that are this way. If you eat grass-fed beef, it doesn't bother you. If you eat regular beef that you buy in the grocery store, I feel it. Every time I feel it. So what if this man was stressed out that day? What if the man played baseball or hockey? What if this man went for a 3-mile jog that night? What if this man's digestive tract was not absorbing proteins properly? And we're talking about the man who ate like this, okay? Or woman, either way. What if there are suboptimal amounts of protein in that day? And by that means there's proteins that are called proteins that are not complete proteins. And you'll understand what I'm talking about there. A half a gram per pound of body weight, more if you're stressed, working hard physically. 1/2 of it should be raw. Now, I don't think people are going to eat raw meat, but that's where your vegetable protein comes in, and that's where you get the enzymes. It must include complete protein. Protein foods are rich in amino acids. The digestive tract must break down the protein chunks into individual amino acids. So it takes 17 to 72 hours for your body to break down and digest animal protein, okay? There are 9 amino acids that you have to get from your food. They're called essentials. You cannot get them from any place else. They have to come from your food. If you provide those 9, there's 13 more that are non-essential, but your body can make them. So there are 22, you need 22 amino acids. But if you don't get the first 9, you're not going to get the other 22. Okay? So what are our sources of protein today? Most of our meat is from the beef is from feedlots. The chickens are from 40,000 chickens to a building coops. The chickens have a lot more antibiotics in than cows do because cows have more of a residual left over. I guess coming from a dairy farm and how we did stuff, we really didn't use antibiotics, but my boys tell me that when they use antibiotics, that within a certain period of time that it's out. If you give a cow an antibiotic, you're not supposed to ship it to market for an X amount of time, and I don't remember what that is. Some studies indicate that 44% of coronary problems are coming from a virus that's in the meat that's attacking the heart. Isn't that interesting? A lot of cows are injected with growth hormones. Again, if you don't grow them yourself, you don't know what you're getting from the market. Hormones, they give in the end to fatten up the meat. And then we absorb those hormones. They're designated to fatten up the animals. So why do you think that what they will do to us? Okay, I just want to look at the different, why would you go to more of a vegetable source protein versus an animal protein? We talked about some of that. We're going to do a comparison here, okay? With soy protein, you can get all 9 essential aminos. With your animal protein, They're missing many of the amino acids. And that's why a lot of times animal protein is not your best source of protein. We eat it because, I guess we eat it because we like it. I think I don't know if it used to be better, but it's always cooked. And cooking kills. Soy protein's got natural live enzymes. The animal protein contains large amounts of fats. It can contain viruses and bacteria. When it's heated, all the enzymes, most of them are lost. There's no fiber in it. There's no nutraceuticals. As we age, animal protein is very hard to assimilate and digest in our digestive tracts. It's acidic, so it creates uric acid, which is very hard on the kidneys. It has a lot of saturated fats. Undigested protein goes into the kidneys. Acid formation in the blood, which raises the pH to acid. And of course, we know that's not a good thing. So look at the difference here. You get all 9 essentials. It's got natural enzymes. There's many nutraceuticals in there that they haven't even discovered today yet. There's phytochemicals that are produced by the plant. And there's phytoestrogens, there's phytohormones, there's natural and you know it's how it's processed, whether it has that part in there. Okay, I want to add that. I think we'll come back to that. It's got natural vegetable fiber. It's more bioavailable than animal protein. It's not contaminated with viruses and bacteria. But the key is it contains many unknown factors that Mother Nature still holds. Absorption, utilization, and digestion are greatly increased with vegetable protein. It's very important as we age and very important for our digestive systems. There is no comparison to how your body reacts from an animal protein to a soy protein. Okay, everything your body does requires enzymes. Everything your body does requires enzymes. Everything your body does requires enzymes. And without the right amount, you will deteriorate piece by piece. This is something that we really don't talk about that much, is the enzymes that are in our food. That's why it's so important to eat raw food. That's why it's so important to chew and chew and chew. Your organs require enzymes to function properly. The older we get, the less that we make. And the only way to stop that downward spiral is to replace those enzymes through supplementation. Again, you remember saying that the soy protein, vegetable protein, has a lot of enzymes, and it's because it's raw food. So the power of protein is the power of amino acids. These are your 9 essential amino acids, and they say it's not the protein that's important, it's the amino acid content of the protein. The key to protein utilization is a product having live amino acids and enzymes. I remember many, many years ago when I got involved and I saw pictures of live proteins and proteins that were processed and dead, and what were they called? Chematograms? I can't remember what they were called, but it was a scientific thing that they did show the actual life in stuff. Here it shows you, remember we said that you have to have all 9? Well, here you have all 9, and then it can make the rest of these. But guess what? Let's say that number 5 is missing. Your body cannot produce those other 13. And so you don't have complete amino acids. Where with the protein that we've got, all of them are in there. They used to put on the container how much was there. But when you break a chain, it can't be completed if there's just one missing. And so then you have a problem creating good, healthy cells, hormones, antibodies, digestive enzymes. Okay? So then what happens next? What if the pancreas needs protein to make lipase and it's missing? What if the pineal gland needs protein to make the melatonin, but it's missing? Think about how many people are taking that melatonin. I remember years ago that we were at a big meeting and they asked one of the science guys, why don't we have melatonin? They said, we never will have, because it's a hormone and it has to be regulated by a doctor. And people go out and buy this stuff all the time. But why is it that everybody's so short on this? Why is it that people have problems sleeping? because their pineal gland's not creating the melatonin it's supposed to make? What if the immune system needs the protein to make antibodies, but it's missing? What if the bones need protein to make bone structure, but it's missing? So I think by now that you're getting the picture of how important amino acids in the protein are. So, and also how important protein is for your health. If you truly want to build health, you cannot do it without having a good, I say soy, but a good vegetable protein, okay? Soy has been a food stable in the Asian diet for hundreds and hundreds of years. And the men and women of Asia eat 10 times more soy than Americans do. It has a far lower rate of cancer than the United States and Canada. They look at it as anti-cancer, anti-heart disease, anti-osteoporosis, anti-menopause, anti-food sugar disorders. So if we look at this, pre-puberty uses soy and it provides major health benefits. 50% challenges in breast, uterus, and ovarian cancer. Ovaries, 50% less cancer. Soy helps offset, and I'm not even going to try and say that, but it's some kind of estrogens from our environment. How many of you know that we've got, is it xeno estrogens in the environment? I didn't know that. The greatest misnomer has been the liberal classification of soy isoflavones and estrogens. I remember from years ago we talked about this was a huge part of our protein, and then of course the big thing with the rats came up and scared everybody away from soy for a period of time. But now they've realized that rodents do not assimilate soy the same as humans do. So that's kind of gone. Soy is safe for breast cancer survivors. There's studies that show that you have a lesser risk of reoccurring breast cancer if you are on soy. Women with the highest soy intakes have 25% less chance of dying of breast cancer. Breast cancer survivors with the highest intake had 25% less cancer reoccurrence. Soy compound linked to breast cancer risk. What was that? Soy compound linked to lower breast cancer risk. Okay. I know there's been so much research that shows of that. According to many studies, if you eat adequate amounts of soy often enough, your risk drops by 30 to 50%. So it improves prostate cancer. Dr. Oz, this is in here, not that I give him a whole lot of weight because he changes with the wind, but he even says everybody should have a soy drink every day. But why soy protein? We talked about it's got all the amino acids, it's got natural enzymes, it's got nutraceuticals and phytochemicals, natural fibers, bioavailable. It contains most of the known and unknown that's been discovered so far. The big thing is absorption, utilization, and digestion are very easily done, and I don't believe it matters what age it is. So this is a discovery that Dr. Shaklee did that has changed the face of nutrition. Dr. Shaklee was the very first to isolate the soy, the benefits of soy, and get the soy isolate, I think is what they call it. But human longevity depends on the ability of the body to recover and rebuild. Shaklee created a protein product that triggers the recovery and building process. It's not the protein that's important, and Dr. Shaklee used to say this, it's the amino acid content. For 30 years, Shaklee worked on extracting these powerful 9 essential amino acids and delivering them with their unique bioavailability delivery system. We were the first. And then, of course, we've been copied over and over, but they do it differently. Not all soy is equal. They don't all contain these isoflavones. And this is why. When the beans are crushed, defatted, soy flakes are washed in alcohol during the production of soy burgers, soy cheeses, soy milks, and some soy protein mixes. And that's where the isoflavones are destroyed. Okay? It's the alcohol wash. The reason they do that is because it's cheaper and it's faster. Shaklee water washes, and then that retains a higher level of the isoflavones as well as the phytoestrogens. It's all in the processing. We know that our Shaklee science, there's nothing like it out there. Nobody does the amount of testing that we do, and that's why we know those things. That's why we know the benefit of all 9 essentials. That's why we know the benefit of water washing. That's why we know the benefit of how it's processed. Because we've spent over $300 million in R&D. And Dr. Shaklee figured this out many, many, many years ago. So if you're looking at a soy protein, something that's important is to know, first of all, that it's organically grown. It's not genetically engineered, which is a big deal out there now with soy. It is water washed. The enzymes are protected, not denatured. That every batch has all 9 amino acids. That calcium is added to prevent acidity. Isn't that interesting? Anti-thyroid and anti-growth enzyme must be removed. And it is never roasted or raised above 100 degrees, I think it is. Dr. Shaklee was one of the earliest researchers on soy in the United States. Shaklee has known how to separate soy with cold water extraction since the early 50s. The effects of soy was first measured in birds, which showed that they changed foliage and matured very young, as well as slowing down the thyroid function. Shaklee realized that there was anti-tyrosine property in raw soybeans. So that's why they take that out. It separates a protein from the raw soybeans and leaves behind the enzymes that contain the tyrosine substance. It gives you the very best soy and all the positives like your phytoestrogens, which inhibit breast cancer, prostate cancer. Leaves the natural enzymes. And I thought this was interesting. I've known this because when that whole thing was going on, you can't do soy, you're going to get breast cancer, I knew that that wasn't true because there had been 1,500 studies showing the positive benefits of soy. So this is interesting, though, and that's why this next part here, when soy is cooked, as well as alcohol washed, I always tell people, stay away from soy milk, stay away from tofu, stay away from the other soy stuff because of how it's processed, okay? The Maillard reaction process, whenever you cook a food, you denature it and make it into something different. In order to denature compounds like anti-thyroid substance, then you begin to rearrange the amino acid substance in soy, which becomes a toxic substance. When it's altered and denatured, then you end up with junk. It's so interesting I love this kind of stuff, and I don't know if you do, but this just really shows you Shaklee is so different than other ones out there. I like this bottom comment here. There's no word in the Chinese language for hot flashes because they don't cook things. They store them to eat later, especially their soy. So the women don't know about hot flashes there, which is kind of funny. It's not the protein that's important, it's amino acid content. This is a recap again. When you heat protein to 110 degrees, over 50% of the bioavailability is lost. Protein cannot be utilized or metabolized without adequate B3, 6, potassium, phosphorus, and carbohydrates. That's why most people in America are protein deficient. So again, Shaklee does 26 separate tests on every raw material. It's supposed to be 260, sorry. Every raw material to ensure the highest quality. Shaklee does not use high heat to manufacture the soy. It water washes their soy, not alcohol. It's very digestible. And Shaklee soy does not raise blood sugar. It's rated the #1 source of vegetable protein by the WHO. Research suggests that a daily intake of the soy protein helps retain normal cholesterol levels, promotes heart health, breast health, prostate health. Imagine mixing this all with Vitalizer, which we're not talking about tonight, but you can see why we have such a powerful package. That's interesting. I don't know what that means. Shaklee soy protein are certified non-GMO, biologically complete, lactose-free, gluten-free, no artificial flavors, colorings, or sweeteners. So it's the best soy protein with 4 double-blind clinical studies on this product alone. It is biologically complete. We've said that it's rich in phytoestrogens. It's got all your 9 amino acids. Amino acids act as detoxifiers, antioxidants, and they help with protein synthesis. And that's necessary to maintain health and absorb nutrients. It helps maintain normal cholesterol levels and promotes heart and prostate health. So, if you start your day with soy protein, it is the ultimate superfood for optimal health and a sustained burst of energy. Look at the difference here. This is our energizing soy. There's 14 grams. Now we've got the instant is 16 grams and the life is 16 grams. So we've got 3 different kinds of protein. But the 14 grams is equivalent to 2.5 eggs, or 1/4 cup of tuna, 1/4 pound of chicken, 1/4 pound of beef, or 1/2 cup of cottage cheese. But if we look at this, how many of these are animal proteins? They all are. So if you look at the comparison, you're getting vegetable protein that aids in all these things that we've talked about over and over again. A lot of people have blood sugar issues today. And again, it's because they're not getting a protein that their body can use. If you look at the clinical evidence here, it helps maintain blood sugar. If you look at the gold line on here, this is what happens with your blood sugar if you do the protein. If you eat carbohydrates, and this is what most people do, when you do the nutrition consults and you have people look at their diet, they eat carbs for breakfast, they eat carbs mid-morning, they eat carbs at lunch again, they eat carbs mid-afternoon, and then at supper time they have a little bit more animal protein. So the difference of eating the vegetable protein is huge. We've discussed that. Nature does speak in no uncertain terms to us. And as man is a product of nature, he may, if he so desires, receive helpful guidance from nature. For nature is the expression of the Creator. So when you share Shaklee products, remember that you are always sharing the best. So, I wanted to say thank you for taking the time to listen to the end of the webinar. I am very excited that you are looking forward to having great health and using the best product there is on the market. And if that is of interest to you, just click on the link below. If you have questions, please feel free to connect with me go back to my Facebook page and send me a private message. Thank you. Have an amazing day.